There seems to be a misunderstanding regarding the National Electrical Code, specifically concerning the installation of cable types like Type NM or non-metallic sheath cable within complete raceway systems such as electrical metallic tubing, commonly referred to as EMT. The assertion that the 2005 edition of the NEC permitted such installations is incorrect. The NEC does not generally allow the installation of cables within complete raceways unless specifically permitted by a particular section. To understand this better, it is crucial to delve into the fundamental principles governing cable and raceway applications as defined by the NEC. Firstly, it's important to differentiate between cables and conductors. Cables are an assembly of two or more insulated conductors within an outer sheath or jacket. Conductors, on the other hand, are single insulated wires. Raceways are defined as enclosed channels designed expressly for holding wires, cables, or busbars, with additional functions as permitted in the NEC. Common examples of raceways include EMT, rigid metal conduit, PVC conduit, and flexible metal conduit. The NEC outlines specific applications for both cables and raceways, and these applications often dictate whether a cable can be installed within a raceway. Type NM cable, for instance, is primarily intended for use in dry locations within walls, floors, and ceilings. It is typically used in residential wiring for branch circuits and feeders. The NEC specifies the conditions under which Type NM cable can be installed, emphasizing protection from physical damage. Now, consider the purpose of a raceway. Raceways are primarily intended to provide mechanical protection and a defined pathway for conductors. They offer a robust means of protecting wiring from physical damage, environmental factors, and other potential hazards. When conductors are installed in a raceway, they are generally single insulated conductors such as Type THHN or THWN, which are specifically designed for raceway applications. These conductors have a durable insulation that can withstand the stresses of being pulled through a raceway. Installing Type NM cable inside a complete raceway system like EMT would generally violate the NEC for several reasons. One reason is that Type NM cable is not designed for installation in a raceway. The outer jacket of Type NM cable is not intended to be pulled through a conduit, and doing so could damage the cable, compromising its insulation. Secondly, filling a raceway with a cable like Type NM can lead to overcrowding. The NEC specifies fill limits for raceways to ensure adequate heat dissipation and to prevent damage to the conductors or cables. Filling a raceway with a cable that has a larger overall diameter than individual conductors can easily exceed these fill limits. Thirdly, the NEC emphasizes using the right type of wiring method for the specific application and environment. Type NM cable is suitable for dry, protected locations, while raceways are often used in locations where greater physical protection is needed or where the wiring may be exposed to moisture or other environmental factors. By placing Type NM cable inside a raceway, one might be attempting to provide additional protection that is not actually necessary or appropriate according to the NEC guidelines. It's crucial to understand that the NEC is a comprehensive set of rules and regulations designed to ensure electrical safety. It is not simply a collection of suggestions, but rather a legally enforceable standard in many jurisdictions. Therefore, it is essential to adhere to the NEC requirements when installing electrical wiring and equipment. The NEC provides specific tables and articles that address the proper methods for installing cables and conductors in various situations. For example, Article 300 covers general wiring methods, while Article 310 deals with conductors for general wiring. Article 334 specifically addresses Type NM cable, outlining its permitted uses and installation requirements. Article 344 covers EMT. To clarify further, let's consider some specific examples. If you are wiring a residential branch circuit in a dry location within a wall, Type NM cable would typically be an appropriate choice, provided it is installed in accordance with Article 334. However, if you are wiring a commercial building where the wiring is exposed to physical damage, EMT with individual conductors would be a more suitable option. In situations where the wiring needs to be protected from moisture, a different type of raceway, such as rigid PVC conduit, might be necessary. It is important to note that there are exceptions to the general rule against installing cables in complete raceways. For example, certain types of cables are specifically designed for installation in raceways. These cables typically have a rugged outer jacket that can withstand the stresses of being pulled through a conduit. However, Type NM cable is not one of these cables. Another exception might involve using a raceway as a sleeve to protect a cable in a short section where it is exposed to physical damage. In this case, the raceway is not considered a complete raceway system, but rather a protective sleeve. In conclusion, the 2005 NEC did not permit the installation of cables like Type NM in complete raceway systems such as EMT. The NEC emphasizes using the appropriate wiring method for the specific application and environment, and Type NM cable is generally not intended for installation in raceways. To ensure electrical safety and compliance with the NEC, it is essential to consult the relevant articles and tables in the code and to follow the manufacturer's instructions for the installation of cables in raceways. It is also recommended to seek the advice of a qualified electrical contractor or inspector if you have any questions or concerns about electrical installations. Always prioritize safety and adhere to the NEC requirements to prevent electrical hazards.